Just reading the comments here on his Twisted Sister project. Seems like he couldn't get the fluting to go in the opposite direction to make a crisscross pattern. Can't be that difficult, can it? Now, on the reverse of the machine, along the pulley wire, is trapped by the mechanism here using an Allen key on the top line. Now, if we undo this and put it on the bottom line, this just freely swings. By turning the handle in the same direction, because the wire moves in the opposite direction, this will allow you to make flutes in the opposite orientation. Well, that's the theory of it anyway. Now, if my fellow turner had read the instructions, he would have been aware of this from the onset. But fortunately, more than one person who are regular contributors to William's channel read this and pointed him in the right direction. There seems to be a few people out there with router lathes. Okay, now I've just done some measuring. One of these blocks isn't going to be enough, so I'm going to have to actually glue two together and glue this on the end so that I've in fact got enough reach on the router lathe. Now I've settled on something very simple for this project. It's going to be a pen pot for my desk. So first task then is to true the piece up, make sure it's still round, and to put a tenon on to put it into the C-jaws on the chuck when I've done the fluting. Right, I'm just going to give that 5 minutes to harden off. Okay, so I've adjusted it now and got the depth of the router cutter, I think, set to about 1/4 of an inch, which should be sufficient for this project. Now I'm going to do 12 flutes on this project, the same that was done on the Twisted Sister. So I'm going to start off at number 2 on the index wheel and work my way around. Okay, so I have the fluting done. It's turned out okay. Now, what I'm going to do at this stage is to fill the fluting with some Milliput and let it harden before I do the counter flutes. This way, I think I might avoid any tear out where the fluting intersects. Okay, so I've filled the first set of flutings with turquoise Milliput, and I'm now going to leave this for 4 or 5 hours to cure before I cut the second set of flutes, or at least I try and cut the second set of flutes. Now I have to move the clamp from the top string to the bottom string. Move that to this position. actually, now I've done this, I can remove it from the router lathe and put it on the lathe where it'll be easier to work on. Okay, so before I fill the second set of flutes with the Milliput, I'm going to clean them out using a screwdriver, wire brush and an airline. Okay, so now I've got to leave this overnight for the Milliput to cure. I'm quite concerned about the two areas where the fluting joins up, that I wasn't accurate enough with the router to make a good connection, but my fallback position will be to use a parting tool to make a groove to hide it and fill it full of some contrasting black Milliput tomorrow, for instance. Okay, so it's the next morning. The Milliput has hardened as you would expect it to. So before I go into hollowing this piece, I'm just going to make sure that the Milliput filling is okay. Now you can see that the pattern is actually more or less fine, although there's some variance in width for some unknown reason. I don't know whether the depth was not the same. Anyway, I have this issue here of the two ends not being the same. So my plan is at the moment, plan B, is to cut two grooves at either end so I can match up the pattern and fill them with the contrasting Milliput, black for instance, just to give it a nice pattern. Okay, so you can see there on the overhead shot that I had to make the rings a little bit wider than one width of the parting tool, which is 3mm, because of the overlap. The pattern still isn't going to match up very well, but I think it'll look better with some white bands around it anyway. I was going to use black, but I don't have any black Milliput, of course. Anyway, back in 5 hours. Now it occurred to me that actually while I'm waiting for the white Milliput to dry, I could be hollowing this out. So as usual, I'm drilling a 35mm pilot hole, and it looks as though my Forstner bit needs to be sharpened. Now this project is ideal for my Simon Hope 6mm mini hollowing system. I think I should be able to do 90% of the hollowing with this. Now eventually I go on to use my Sorby side scraper and the box scraper just to get a good finish on the sides and on the bottom. Okay, so there we have it then, one crisscross pen pot. So it wasn't so difficult to get the flutes to go the other way, was it? As we used to say in the army, RTFI. Lessons learned here. I never for 1 minute thought about matching up the where the flutes intersect. Didn't even occur to me, but obviously it's an important factor. I kind of got away with it here by having this top and bottom band, which actually is wider than the router cuts, which are 3.2 millimeters. Yes, I can see that logically when planning this in future, you've got to plan on a number of complete revolutions of the handle. That way, if you mark them, then I'm sure that it will line up. I know it will because I've just tried it with a pencil. Yeah, quite happy with that. I think he'll be surprised when he sees it. Anyway, I enjoyed it, hope you did, and I guess he'll be seeing you next week.